All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64. Let me see if I know how to turn down the audio mic so that speakers, headphones, audio settings. I don't know how to turn down the audio so the pumps don't interfere with what the thing is, but here's the video from yesterday, and I'll just play it on here. Let's see here. Minimize this. And I believe this is live if I remember. So let me check actually. I lost my phone. There it is. Am I live right now? Let's see. It says upcoming. Oh, that's not it. I'm not sure if I'm live right now or not. I think it is. I don't remember if this is playing live or not. Screen sharing. Oh, well, I'm going to play the video that is missing the audio on YouTube side, but not on my side. And I'll be back in here and hopefully the pump doesn't make too much noise. All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64. I had to wait until after the full moon to make a video. So many people were looking at the full moon. They have been arguing about it. And then I come up here and say, it's either it's not. I would not support that's the state. The rapture will never occur, honestly. I won't be that bold. I think it will I won't be as bold as reciting that God about my dad, before I see that, I'm like, father passed away from my dad. Said, I'm getting I'm 60. Crack pop. I was young, 28, to jump right out of bed. Now I gotta wake up, think about it first. And they do it. But yeah, and watching and trying to figure out this and bringing as much information as all the ones we have to do. This is rough. A lot of critics out there, armchair warrior, their comment section. Not many. I'll be honest. My comment section, either I don't put much thought, silly comments, or Spinebreaker gets in there, remove them before you ever see them. One of the two happens. But for the most part, from what I see, people are genuinely looking forward to this rapture and will grasp onto any straw that they can get a hold of to say this might be it, this something that encourages us, something that we look forward to. And again, none of the dates that I offer are rapture dates. They are things that happen on a specific date that could equate to a rapture. Now, I've said this before, but I will always watch on the 7 feast days. I don't think the rapture is going to occur on one of those 7 feast days. They are our feast days. When we get to heaven, we will be truly celebrating these 7 feast days. However, 8 is the number of completion. And I think that there, not that this keeps flying over, I think that there's going to be, the rapture is going to be on a Monday and a 4th day. And I think it's going to be an 8th day. I don't think it's going to be one of the 7. And I'm going to show that to you right now. Again, go through the timeline. You can say, yeah, that seems logical, or you can continue to revert back to the moon theory. I could never, since I discovered this, go to view the moon for anything other than a harbinger or a warning of things to come. Blood moons are very important. The location of the moon in a specific constellation, whether it be half, sliver, whatever. Kevin even made a comment, which I thought was pretty cool. He's like, now they do like Will over at Worship and Watch does look at the moon. We're not on the same page. All 4 of us are in that group that we talk almost every day. None of us are on the same page with a lot of things, but we present ideas to one another and we go through them. And Kevin basically really helps in researching that kind of stuff. So even though he hasn't bought into the no moon theory, which is fine, he's my friend, and again, it's not a salvational issue. It really isn't, because Amos 3:7 is going to be fulfilled by God Himself. I'm telling you, I am telling you, we're all going to be sitting here. We're all going to be watching YouTube videos, because I watch them from everybody to see if they found anything spectacular that catches my attention, like the Rapture puzzle. Just made a video and I sent that over to Kevin to take a look at, and it's amazing that on this particular day that she found, it is in fact 21 days. She finds this date of August the 15th. It's like, well, I don't want to put words into her mouth, but she just says from August 15th, and I believe she made a comment, but I don't want to speak for her, but the comment was she doesn't know what August 15th was. Well, guess what? August 15th is the date that Jesus began his 40-day fast. So from 21 days from there, from that August 15th date, brings us to a very interesting date as well, which lands 7 days before creation began. So I'm wondering if September the 11th, that's the day creation began. As a matter of fact, again, blows my mind. They're still in awe, like awe passed a long time ago. It's gone, but they're still viewing awe. But when they get to September 11th, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, this is definitely Elul 25. I'm like, did Og have like 900 days in it? How did you mathematically come to that? The sun comes up, you name it, you give it a name, you give it a date, it goes down, and it does that every day. You don't just ignore days like they didn't exist. 6 days you work, it's 7 days. On the 7th day you rest. Timeline hasn't changed in the last 5 years, except for this new format that I made because of a comment that Aaron made. It got him. So I put it in that format. So let me get to the pictures here real quick and see where we are. Glasses on. I can't see a thing. All right. So we'll start here. I don't think I explained this properly last time. So this is the Revelation 12 sign, plus it's technically 2,550 days because it's starting date, the ending date. And it lands on, now September the 15th, and I'll show that to you, is Feast of Trumpets. It is not, they're saying Feast of Trumpets this year, but that's October. No, it lands on September 15th every single year. It never changes. Just like your birthday doesn't change, it never changes. Enoch Now, a lot of people will quote Enoch, and it drives me nuts. This is the true Enoch calendar. And then they start talking about the moon. Enoch was vehemently against using the moon. He did not use the moon to count his calendar. And he makes comment about it, talks about how, or they research Enoch, and then they make comments about how King Antiochus did this wonder. You see, Enoch, of course, was long gone and ascended to heaven, but God brought him up there to see how time worked, and his book was found or his writings were found in the caves, and they verified a lot of what they find in the Book of Enoch. Again, Book of Enoch is a history book. It's not inspired. It is not supposed to be in the Holy Canon. The Holy Canon's purpose, knowing all of this stuff that I'm talking about, is totally irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Your salvation is the only thing that matters. You accepting the free gift that Jesus has offered is the only thing that matters. After that, automatically, you will begin to try to draw closer, more intimate with the person that saved you. That is Jesus Christ, God Almighty. Anyway, Enoch makes his comment. On that day, the day is equalized with the night. This only happens on March 16th, and again on the Day of Atonement on September the 25th, it happens again. It happens on March 16th and September 25th. It is 6 months and 10 days between March and September 25th, and it is 5 months and 20 days between September 25th back to March 16th. It is an extra 10 days. Why the extra 10 days? Have you ever asked yourself why Noah was on the ark for 1 year and 10 days? He got on the ark on Halloween, on Heshvan 17. He got off the ark on Heshvan 27, which was 11/11, November the 11th. God is using, and he has been utilizing the Gregorian calendar. Actually, he's not using the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar is nothing but a fix to the Julian calendar. The Julian calendar began to keep time wrong. Remember now, in 400 BC, King Antiochus, a moon worshiper, a devil worshiper, moon worshiper, said that the entire planet had to use the moon to begin their month, the first sliver. After that, after he passed away and everything, they came back and said, look, we can't, and now it's 172 BC, 250 years, around 250 years have passed by. They don't know or recall after 250 years how they were keeping time. They didn't have computers like we do, so we can look back. Even with our computers, great vaults of information that we had stored, they didn't have that. They had the writing, but they didn't. I guess they didn't keep track of it properly. So they got away from the moon. They don't use the moon, except to say that they will start their year on the first sliver of the moon. That's why the end of the year bounces around so much. And prior to King Antiochus forcing the Jews to use the sliver of the moon as the head of their month, it wouldn't work. It can't work. It's 29.5 days. It simply doesn't work. Mathematically, it doesn't work. So prior to that, they were on the timeline I'm showing you. That's the timeline that was in use prior to that. And this is the comment that is made by Enoch, Enoch 72:1, that the day and the night is equalized. So there is one day. And Jesus mentions it as well. Out of nowhere, I'm talking out of left field. They're talking about Lazarus dying, and he just comes out of left field and says, is it right field? I'm not a baseball guy. Is it right field or left field? Well, yeah, I think it's left field. Anyway, Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours a day? He just comes up with this, like out of nowhere. What is he saying? Jesus doesn't say stuff for no reason. He says stuff for a reason. It's left field, I'm sure. He comes out of left field with this, are there not 12 hours a day, talking about Lazarus, and then he sits still for 2 days. Why did he sit still for 2 days? why, when your best friend, Lazarus, is dead, why are you sitting still and not going there? Is it to show everybody, like, I mean, 2 days dead, 4 days dead? He's still dead. He's dead. Everybody knows it. He's embalmed. He's in the tomb. Mary and Martha are unclean for 7 days. He's in that tomb. But he sits still because it's Rosh Hashanah. It is the head of the year. It's March 16th, the next day, 17th and 18th. He sits still. 19th and 20th, he walks back. We know it takes 2 days to walk there. The Bible says so. So therefore, the two guys had come to tell him that Lazarus was sick. It took them 2 days to get there. So they had to have left on the 14th, which makes Lazarus sick on the 13th. So again, Jesus makes this comment 12 hours a day, just out of nowhere, and then sits still for 2 days. And that's why that happened. Now, I read this to you last week, and it really got an awesome response. People loved it, and I did not screenshot the other two gospels of this passage. I want you to know, I told you, I didn't know. I didn't screenshot the other one, so I want you to go in and read them for yourself, and I want you to notice something. There are only two groups that are going to heaven. When they're going, I can't tell you. I wish I could tell you the rapture date. Don't know, but I know it has to be soon. It has to be very soon with everything we're seeing going on. But there are only two groups. The Jews do not go to heaven. Heaven comes down to them. Jesus comes down here, rules and reigns in Jerusalem over the Jews for 1,000 years. They are never raptured to heaven. Then at the end of the 1,000 years, after they are proven and have accepted Jesus as the Lord and Savior, this earth will be thrown away. Heaven will be thrown away. Our holy city, which God has made for us, will not be destroyed. It will set down from the new heaven onto the new earth at the end of the 1,000 years. Let's see. He came behind him and touched the border of his garment. This is now, we're going to read in Luke. Luke's predominantly written to the bride. Luke 8:44 came behind him and touched the border of his garment. Didn't even touch him. Just touched his garment, his what do you call that, robe that he was wearing. And immediately her issue of blood was snatched. It stopped. She knew it right away. It was over with. She was healed. And Jesus said, "Who touched me?" You know who touched me. He's going to make a point here. When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, "Master, there's 1 million people out here. Multitude throng thee, press against thee, and sayest thou, who touched me?" They're like, "Seriously, dude? There's 1 million people out here. What do you mean you touched me? How are we supposed to know? There's a ton of people out here." But Jesus, because it's God. Jesus said, "Somebody hath touched me, for I perceive that virtue was gone out of me." And when the woman saw that she was not his, she came trembling and falling down before him. Like I said in the last video, I think I had only screenshotted Matthew where it doesn't say this. It doesn't say in Matthew where he's trying to figure out who touched him. It does not say in Matthew that she came trembling, falling down before him. These are two things of a saved person. The Jews will be saved at the end of the 7 years and through the 1,000-year millennium. They will have to eat of the tree of life, 12 different fruits, in order not to die before 100 years old. If they only live to 100, people will look at them and go, "Oh, what did he do? Like, who doesn't live to be 100? My dad's 82. He's telling me, he's like, "I'm ready to go, man. When this is gonna happen?" And that doesn't sound fun, but that's what he said. Like, I can't stop what he says. But he's had a heart attack. He's gone through quite a bit. He just had gallbladder at 80 years old. I'm like, wow. going through it, like I'm going through my son. Yeah. But you'll notice in this passage, who touched me? And you'll notice that she came trembling and falling down before him. That is the heart of a true saved person. We work out our salvation with fear and trembling, and then she just took that salvation. If anybody tells you that you come like begging God for salvation, no, take it. That's yours. It's offered to everybody. I'm talking about everybody on the face of the earth. A cup is placed in front of you, and all you have to do is take that cup and drink from it. I'm talking every single human being on the face of this earth is offered that cup at some point in their life, and most will reject it. Most will reject it. There will be nobody in hell saying, nobody offered me a cup. Oh, yeah, they did. At some point in your life, you were offered a cup. Take that cup sloppily, hurriedly, and down that free salvation. And that's it. It's done. After that, you'll do wonderful things. But up to that point is when you become saved. Now, here we see in Mark 5:27, when she had heard of Jesus, she came in the press behind and touched his garment. Again, she didn't touch him. This is in Mark. For she said, if I may touch his clothes. This is the great multitude. Mark is speaking to the great multitude. These people are going to rock right to their knees. They're going to take that cup of salvation and drink from it at the moment they see the rapture. They're going to know exactly what just happened. And that free cup that has been standing in front of each and every single one of us our entire lives, they will take it at that point. Every person that is saved, whether no matter what, period, is going to heaven in this rapture. Watching is a result of you being saved. The fact that you're here watching and trying to figure this out is a result of you being saved. There is a large group of people who come in to scoff and to make light of, or to put in their 2 cents of what they feel. There is no once saved, always saved. There is no pre-tribulational rapture. They come in with all kinds of bizarre gospels that is not found in the Bible. And I digress. If you are a tribulation saint, you're going to find that written in the Bible. Those verses are speaking directly to you. You're going to cite Thessalonians 4 and 5? You're going to cite that verse in 2 Thessalonians and say, see, the man of sin must be revealed first, and then it says, you will be gathered, but only after the man of sin be revealed and this great falling away happens. That verse is not speaking to the bride. That verse is speaking to the tribulation saint. So here's what amazes me. We'll put this on camera. Here's what amazes me. I'll be talking to somebody who, now again, I don't make judgment calls on people's salvation. I think that's reckless and irresponsible. I simply would never say, oh, I guarantee. I don't guarantee anything. Or you're probably not saved. I just wouldn't say such a thing because I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't know. Maybe you're just plain devil's advocate and you're trying to see how firm I am in my position. And that's fine, But a tribulation saint will see all the verses. And what amazes me is when I say, well, based on all the verses you pointed out and what you're showing me is verses that are directed to a tribulation saint. Why would you find those verses, yet ignore the verse that the bride sees, the pre-tribulational rapture sees? Why do you ignore those verses? And I pointed them out to you, and you downplayed them by rebuttaling my verse with a verse you come up with. And I said, that makes you a tribulation saint. I can't believe you would put me in that category. I'm like, wait a second. Didn't you just say there was no pre-tribulational rapture? Well, yeah. And you think we're going to be here through the tribulation? Well, yeah. Okay, you're a tribulation saint. Why would you say that to me? You said it to me. I didn't say it to you. You said it to me. Listen, if that's what you want, there's a great multitude that don't make hell. If that's what you want, look, God doesn't want heaven filled with robots. Heaven will be filled with people who sloppily took that cup and drank from it and spilled it all over themselves. They spilled salvation all over themselves because they can't wait. Like I said in the last video, you're a groom. You're apprehensive. Your bride is coming up. You have this cup. You're a little nervous, right? You're a little now. Jesus got, but still, let's look at it from that aspect. And you're like, oh, the bride takes the cup and he sip out it. Listen, you're lucky that I have drinking out of that cup, and now I will be your bride. But we're going to do things my way. He wants you to take that cup. He wants you to slosh that cup down, drink as much, splash all over yourself. He wants you to grab a hold of him and hug him. He wants a willing bride that just can't wait to be with Jesus. That's what he wants. And when you get to heaven, see, we can't fall. You know why Satan fell? And God knew this. God knew this when he created me. When he did it is debatable. I think he did it on the very first day. I think that's the light. I think the light is all the angels he created. Lucifer is known as the light. And I think when God created man on the sixth day, I think that's when Satan fell. But that's my theory. I don't know if it holds water or not. The reason I say that is because on the first day is when he created heaven. And on the first day is when he created the earth. It's without form and void, but he created it. It was light. It was good. When did he create the angels? If the angels can only live in either heaven or earth, they can't live outside of heaven or earth. We can't live outside of time, so we can't even live in heaven in these current bodies. We're a little bit beneath the angels at this point. But when did he create Satan and all the angels? He had to have done it on the first day. There was nothing. God was completely content. Trust me, he was completely content without this any. But again, he does not want robots in heaven. He wants, when you get to heaven, thank you, saved me, gave you that cup, put it in front of me, walked around, hold that cup forever, and then I finally drank it, But you got to make that choice. He wants heaven filled with people who made a clear choice that they want to be there, that they want to be. That's why we can never sin, because we know what it looks like. We already know what this is. Satan didn't even know what it looked like when he fell. He didn't even know how depraved he could become. And he's done some sick stuff. Some real sick stuff has happened on this planet. So, but Satan was created. He was not thankful for anything. He was just, it's like a kid. A kid goes to work. A poor kid goes to work every day. He saves up every dime he can and buys the best car he can. And it's a piece of junk, but he buys it. It's his. And he slowly works on it, puts new tires, new brakes. He loves that car. He drives it like he bought it. And then this other rich kid gets given a really nice car, and he burns rubber everywhere, tears it up, and tells his parents, I want another one. Which kid is the grateful one? The one who works. Now, I'm not saying salvation is through works, but I'm talking about the difference between Satan and humanity. Humanity had to go through this. I could use such a word right now. We had to go through this nightmare. This is a nice word. We had to go through this nightmare. Whereas the rich kid, Satan, was just given everything. And he's spoiled. And he's jealous. He's jealous because we were created in the image of God. They weren't. They do not look like God. We do. They don't have the DNA we have. We got that. Satan does not. He was jealous. So I think on the 6th day he fell. Anyway, I'll keep going on forever. And I gotta keep the video under an hour. Does anybody? You're not gonna be able to help me. All right, Mark 5. Writ to the tribulation saint. These people are going to go through it. They're really going to go through it. That cup was standing right in front of them, but they brought their works, their doubts, their insecurities. They brought their disbeliefs. They brought everything to the table. But what they didn't bring was an empty cup. Their cup is still full of salvation. They don't realize that they need Jesus, but they will. They will realize that they need Jesus. The very second the rapture occurs, they will realize what just happened. There's a new lie going around that I've heard. Please be careful with what, if you are a baby Christian, please be careful to whom you listen. If it doesn't give you comfort, if it gives you, if it gives you discomfort, if it scares you, it is not the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is a gospel of fear. There is a thing going around now where they are saying that those that are caught away, because there is a verse that they cite, one verse that they cite, that the chaff will be burned up and then everything else will be put in the storeroom here on earth. So the ones that fly away, the chaff flies away and is burned up. In other words, the people who are raptured, they aren't the bride of Christ. They're the ones that are in the way. That's a brand new teaching going around. Watch yourself. Stay away from that type of stuff, especially if you're brand new. And stay strong. And I tell you what, I don't subscribe to those people, and I don't want to warn you about it because then I've talked about them. I don't even want to talk about them. They're not. I don't subscribe to the church. They're not even worthy of listening to. As soon as I hear that type of stuff, I don't subscribe anymore. So, for she said, if I may even touch his clothes, I shall be whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she had healed of that plague. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the press and said, who touched my clothes? And his disciples said unto him, thou seest the same thing, a little bit more wordage in Mark than in Luke, but the same thing. We have this crowd around him, Jesus spinning around, asking who touched him. And we see this woman shaking, terrified, working out her salvation with fear and trembling. So, see, but the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell before him. When Jesus saves you, man, the only thing you're going to want to do, the only thing you're going to want to do is figure this out. That's what we're all doing, trying to figure this out. So, and here we have Matthew. This is the one I read last week. It does not say, that Jesus spun about, tried to figure it out. It doesn't say she was fear and trembling because this is written to the Jew. It's a different group of people. However, they will also have to come to realize who Jesus was. They are not in the least bit afraid of Jesus at this point or their salvation. I think that will happen at the end of the 7 years. And behold, a woman which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years. All three gospels show that 12 years. Don't know what that means yet. Came behind him and touched the hem of his garment. For she said within herself, if I may touch his garment, I shall be whole. But Jesus turned himself about and saw her. He did turn about here, but he did not ask who touched him. And he saw her, and she did not tremble in front of him. And he said, daughter, be of good comfort, for thy faith hath made thee whole, and the woman was made whole from that hour. So everyone will come to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ in the end. I showed you this before. There are 3 Pentecosts. The first Pentecost was the 120 Jewish believers in the upper room. That launched the church. That was the beginning of the church, but that wasn't it. In the second, now this is a study now by Robert Morgan. He did a very good study. You'll find it online, and there's a lot more involved in what I'm showing you. And study this. The second Pentecost. 50 days later, they are Pentecostal events. They are 50 days apart. The second Pentecost, found in Acts 8:14, is the Samaritan Pentecost. And then the third one, the third Pentecost experience occurred in Acts 10 with Cornelius and the Gentiles. Acts 10:44 says, while Peter was still speaking these words, the Holy Spirit came on all who heard the message. The circumcised believers who came with Peter, the Jews that came with Peter, were astonished that the gift of the Holy Spirit had been poured out even on the Gentiles. We have our salvation to thank first to Jesus, second to the Jews. The Jews brought us the gospel. The Jews wrote the Bible. The Jews, we have everything to be thankful for. So we support the Jews and we back up the Jews 110%. Always. And then there's something different about the fourth Pentecost. Ironically, the third Pentecost lands exactly when I do the math, just straight math, sun comes up, I give it a date, sun comes up again, I give it another date, and it comes up again and I give it another date. So when that happens and I put in the 364 days in a year, you know our planet spins 364 times perfectly as it travels around the sun. However, it takes an extra, since the planet not only spins, but it's also ticking around the sun, it moves. Each day, it takes 364 days for the Earth to get around the sun. It has to reposition. They have to reposition Earth by 4 minutes each day. 4 minutes each day. It takes 4 minutes so that the time of day doesn't change. So they add this 4 minutes a day, and over the course of 364 days, it adds up to a day and a quarter. That's where we get the extra day and a quarter. So we have to absorb that day and a quarter. We don't count the day and a quarter, but it exists because Enoch was 365 when he was taken, not 364. And I would argue, and I put this on the timeline, that Enoch was not 365. He was born on Sivan 6. And they say, well, God does this thing where they die on the day they were born. Moses, Aaron, and the sister, I forget her name right off the bat, but all three of them, they died on the day they were born. However, Enoch ascended, and I believe Enoch ascended 365 years and a quarter, 1/4 of a year, which means Enoch ascended yesterday. Yeah, I was watching because y'all were on that full moon. I was like, seriously, Lord? I've been seeing no moon this whole time. The rapture's going to happen? Of course, I wanted it to happen. Don't get me wrong. I really wanted the rapture to happen. But please go read this. It gives a really good explanation about the third Pentecost to the Gentiles happens on September the 11th, which is the first day of creation. And the fourth, he says it's a cosmopolitan church composed of both Jews and Gentiles in full unity of Christ. And that one actually happens on the day before the flood occurred. Before it landed there. How many crowns will you have when you get to heaven? Let's realistically look at these crowns. The crown of life. We see in James 1:12 and Revelation 2:10, for those who have suffered for his sake. I suppose, I've had people, I've lost out on things because of that. I don't know if I can count for that. Maybe. I haven't been beat up because I was a Christian. So I haven't been martyred. So I think that crown is probably going to go to them. Let's see. Crown of righteousness, 2 Timothy 4:8. For those who loved his appearing. Yes. The rapture. For those of us who love his appearing. Can't hardly wait for it. Do all kinds of mathematical gymnastics to try to figure out when it's going to happen. Because we just can't wait for it to happen. Let's see, the crown of rejoicing, 1 Thessalonians 2:18, for those who win souls. I haven't really I had a lot of feedback on somebody says, "Hey, what you said saved me," and I said it, and I believe now. I've seen that one time. So if I did all this for all these years, worked all this for one soul, man, will I be happy? That's enough for me. I know there's bigger channels and huge ministries that bring in thousands of people. But if I just got one, man, that would be awesome. Crown of glory for those who feed his flock. That's reading out of the Bible and explaining things. And so maybe I get that. Crown incorruptible for those who press on steadfastly. I've been saying don't move forever, and I'm pressing on. I don't know if that's that was the full moon. I was out there looking up, took a picture of it, going, please, Lord, please, 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 please let it be the full moon. I don't worship the moon, but I'll go on the full moon. I don't care. All right, where are we at now? Up here, and I don't have a pointer right there. Enoch was born on Sivan 6. 365 days later, Enoch ascended. Or was it 365 and a quarter, 365 years and a quarter later, which would be a Lul 6, which is August 20th. That's the day I believe Enoch rises into heaven. Right now, today's date is the 21st, Elul 7. Elul 8 is tomorrow. Notice here that Jesus was baptized, started his 40-day fast. It's a Chodesh, and again, Chodesh means month. It does not mean moon. It never will. Moon is Selene and Yarich. 254 times the Bible translates the word Chodesh as month, and 20 times they took liberties and translated it as moon. It is not the moon. It has nothing to do with the moon. When David hid himself out in the field, he did it on, and somebody sent that to me, and I still haven't got 100% verification, but it sounds good, on Elul 1, August the 15th, and then he hid himself out there for 3 days. Now, he starts his 40-day fast there, right? But the Rapture Puzzle just made a video about something happening on August the 15th, some alignment that happened that I was unaware of. I sent it over to Kevin, and Kevin's like, that's very interesting. And then she cites the passage where it talks about the 21 days. The Prince of Persia withheld, and I believe she said Jesus for 21 days, and Michael came to help, but withheld them for 21 days. And 21 days after that, August the 15th, the day Jesus is baptized, 21 days is 1, that's 152 plus 21, 173. Where's that at? 173. Elul 22, September the 5th. 7 days later is September the 11th. September the 5th, 173. 7 days later, 179. Day 1 of creation. It is also the third Pentecost. It is also Elul 28, September the 11th. It's the third Pentecost, the time that they were shocked that even the Gentiles were becoming saved. They were absolutely shocked by that. That's the third Pentecost that we read about. Second Pentecost of 9 has already passed. Third Pentecost is coming up on September the 11th. First Pentecost, Moses in the clouds, Sivan 21. So, all right. That's what we're looking at, honestly. We're looking at 21 days after August 15th. We've already eaten up 7 of those days, so 14 days later. Either September the 5th, being 7 days prior to the first day of creation, and the first day of creation being the day that this whole thing started. It actually started at nightfall on September the 10th. Night, the day were the first day, so God began creation. On Elul 28, it had to be Elul 20. I've gone through this 100 times. It has to be Elul 28, otherwise the 5th day of creation, the Feast of Trumpets, won't land on Tishri 1. It has to land on Tishri 1. So it started on Elul 28, did not start way back there on Elul 20. What they're trying to do is make God rest on the Feast of Trumpets. He did not rest on the Feast of Trumpets. He rested here. on Tishri 3 days after the Feast of Trumpets. Jesus ends his fast on Yom Kippur, September the 25th. September the 24th at nightfall was the Revelation 12 sign. Somebody was debating with me saying, but my stellarium shows that the moon, in fact, was under her feet on the 23rd. I couldn't get my stellarium to do that. My stellarium says that the moon was under her feet at night in Israel on September the 24th. Now, at night in Israel, it's the 25th. The Revelation 12 sign was pointing this directly at Jesus because Jesus had finished his 40-day fast, and this is the Day of Atonement, September the 25th, beginning the nightfall on the 24th. The Revelation 12 sign. The Revelation 12 sign ends right here. This is where it ends, on September the 25th. It is 7 years later, perfectly. Would it make sense that the tribulation begin here or even down here? Could the tribulation begin on Heshvan 17, October the 31st at nightfall, November the 1st? It's also at Pentecost, the fourth one that confused that guy that wrote that paper and said it seems like a conglomerate of both Jews and Gentiles together, and that would be the fourth Pentecost. So anyway, let me go on here. Sister Sandy actually just fixed a few things. She put Enoch on there, fixed a couple of items, and I appreciate that. She does that for me. August is generally the hottest month in Israel. July is not the hottest month in Israel. August is. And August is the month of, where's August? August 1st is Av 17. So it's the end of Av. And here we are on August 21st. We're already to Elul 7. So we're in Elul right now. Let's see here. This group of crops refers to those figs harvested in late summer of August and September. They are considered as good fruits. This group of crops refers to the Jews that will be a part of the end time harvest during this 7-year tribulation period. The good crop could include, which I disagree with, the 144,000 are Messianic Jews. They are the 144,000 that were killed at the time of Herod. They come down as we go up. They don't have new bodies yet. They're in heaven waiting for the day they get new bodies, and they will come down here. They will be bulletproof, spear-proof, sword-proof, cannon-proof. They can't be killed. And they will be going around gathering up the Jews and the Gentiles, drawn from the 12 tribes of Israel, now remember, the Jews brought us the gospel. We did not bring the gospel to the Jews. They brought it to us. They gave it to us. Started out with Jews, and they brought it to the Gentiles. 144,000 Messianic Jews drawn from the 12 tribes of Israel who will be tasked to evangelize the Gentile nations during the tribulation. They will carry out tasks of worldwide evangelism that will result in the salvation of a countless number of Gentiles during the tribulation period. A great number of these Gentiles will die as martyrs for their faith and will be resurrected at the end of the tribulation period. Still, many will be able to survive the tribulation and triumphantly enter the millennium, the 1,000-year reign of Christ on earth after that tribulation. So that's pretty cool. Anybody can go online. You just go online, type in Gregorian Hebrew calendar, and then go to images, and you'll see 100 of these. These things have been around forever. And the year starts right here in the middle of March, just like I said, on March 17th. That's Nisan 1, the first month. Nisan 1, where the arrow's pointing for Sabbath, is pointing at the center of March, March 17th. That's the head of the year. Come down here. Day of Atonement will happen in the middle of September. It will happen right smack in the middle of September. September the 15th is the day. That is, it says it. Hold on a second. That is trumpets. Yom Kippur. Oh, there it is over there. Sorry, off to the side. It says atonement, but that is Yom Teruah. That is says Rosh Hashanah. That is also wrong. Rosh Hashanah has been moved up here. Rosh Chodesh isn't. But the middle of September, September 15th, is the Feast of Trumpets, Yom Teruah, the blowing of trumpets. And then Yom Kippur, that's the September the 25th, and then Sukkot, which would be when Jesus was born on September the 29th at nightfall, becomes September the 30th. But you can go look this up. I found this years ago and questioned why in the world are they saying that beginning the head of the year jumps around when this clearly shows this, and there's so many of them you can find. Psalms 90:10 is not speaking to the bride. It's not speaking about the rapture at all. The Jewish nation will only be there for 80 years, 70 and 80 by reason of strength. The reason they're still there, the only reason they're still there is by reason of strength. They have us backing them. They are one of the strongest militaries in the world, most technologically advanced militaries in the world. So it says, for we are consumed by thine anger and by thy wrath. That sounds like tribulation to me. How long is Israel supposed to last? 80 years. When did Israel become a nation? May 14th, 1948. You can Google it. It's everywhere. Nobody knows about the 49, the 50, the 51. We keep dragging it out. We're trying to make it fit our rapture, and it just won't. We've gone way past the fig tree generation from what we understood it to be. It is not talking about the rapture here. It is talking about Israel itself existing for 80 years. It will exist from May 14th of 1948, and it will cease to exist on May 13th of the year 2028. It will exist a full 80 years. If you come backwards from May 13th, 2028, 3.5 years, because there's a 7-year tribulation, which means that Israel, how long is the existence of Israel? When they leave Israel, God tells them they're surrounded. They must leave. They must flee to Petra. There's a flood that comes after them, but the earth swallows it up. So they leave and they go to Petra. When does Israel cease to be a nation? When they leave. When they do what? When they are soon cut off and they fly away. They leave. That fly away is not a rapture. It is not translated as rapture or rapturo or harpazo. That fly away simply means that's the end of the Israel nation. For we are consumed by thine anger, and by thy wrath are we troubled. Thou hast set our iniquities before thee, our secret sins in the light of thy countenance. For all our days are passed away in thy wrath. We spend our years as a tale that is told. Have we not been talking about this forever? The days of our years are 60 years and 10. And if by reason of strength, that's us and them, helping them, and God, of course, God utilizing us to help, they shall be 80 years, 80 years. Yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off, and we fly away. They leave Israel on May 13th, 2028. 3.5 years prior to that is when the tribulation must begin. That is November the 11th of 2024, which is the day that Noah got off the ark. 11/11 is the day Noah got off the ark. We must, in my opinion, we must, for the fig tree generation to be understood correctly, we must be out of here before November the 11th. I can't see us being here past this Jubilee year, which ends on September the 15th. I also think that September the 11th was the end from the beginning. The end from the beginning. That's the day God began creation at nightfall on September the 10th in Israel, September the 11th being the first day of creation. So we're back to September the 11th. And then another 7 days, because I showed you the 21 days after Jesus began his, on the 15th, where the Rapture Puzzle found something pretty cool that said that Michael shows up with Jesus and helps him and they linger there for 21 days. The days of Terry are written right in there. So we have to leave before November the 11th, the day Noah got off the ark, into a brave new world, no sin, no nothing on it. The day after all those people were wiped off the face of the earth. Then we back up. We back up to the day God rested. Could it be 7/17? Everybody saw 7/17 for so long. 7/17 is the day God rested. Could it back up to the Feast of Trumpets, the last day of the Jubilee cycle? September the 15th, Feast of Trumpets. Does it back up to the first day of creation on September the 11th? Does it back up to 7 days prior to that, which is 21 days after Jesus began his temptation, his fast that he did 21 days later, and 7 days before September the 11th? I think it came to September the 5th or 4th. I don't recall September the 5th or 4th, is 21 days after Jesus began his fast. Is that when we go? We have a lot of high rapture watch dates we're looking up. Israel became a nation on May 14th, 1948. Boom, done. May 14th, 1948. You add 80 years and you come to May 14th of 2028. That's when it's got to be, they no longer will be a nation. And as soon as they leave for Petra, surrounded by their enemies, when they're out of there, Israel is no longer a nation. They're wiped. That nation is wiped until God comes back and resets it. May 13th of 2028, if you subtract the 3.5 years, 3.5 years, you come to November the 12th. It says alternative result, depends if it's leap year or not, will be November the 11th. 11/11/24 is the day Noah got off the ark. The flood began on November the 1st. He got off the ark 1 year and 10 days after it began. May 14th, 1948, we had 76.5 years leaving.
What happened? Still got 3 minutes left. That was the best part. I don't know what happened with the last 4 minutes. 3 minutes, 57 seconds left, and it did that. So I guess the last bit of audio didn't upload. Anyway, Repo Man 64. Let me see what was after that picture real quick. See if I can remember what I was saying. There was nothing. That was the last picture. So I think Amos, and not Amos, Psalms 90:10 is directed at the Jews, and I think that we need to be gone by this time. So this is Repo Man 64. What happened? It won't move. Wonder if it, no, I don't want to restart that. Anyway, sorry about all the audio problems, the pumps going off, everything else. This is the only way I could get what I had put up here to play. And go to a quiet place by yourself. Nobody needs to know, and you don't need to tell anybody, and accept the Lord in your heart. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember, we just keep watching. The clock is ticking down. We don't have much time left for all of these things. We're at the 6,000 years. We're at the time when the temple was destroyed at 70 AD. We're at the time Jesus went to the cross. We're at the time for this. Also, this comes up, the Jews having to flee. I think it's Petra. I'm not 100% sure about that, but so that's what we're waiting on. I'd hoped that the audio would take off again, but it just has stopped right there, and I'm not sure why. So like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we will chat with you again. I'll make videos at about 35-40 minutes from now on, because it seems to do this when I get close to an hour. All right, we'll chat with you all again later.